All right, guys. Just wanted to check in. It's been, I don't know, it's been a while. I'm coming up on three weeks of the keto. It's going well. Working out every day at the gym. Feeling really good. It was really cool. I got my brother got a hold of me the other night. Actually, last night. His speaker had boned out on him in order to do the meeting. It was a speaker meeting, and so he called me up and asked me if I'd come out and be a speaker at the meeting, and that was really cool. And I didn't realize it at the time, but like it gave me an opportunity to meet some new people, um, share my story with everybody, and then I went to my old home group, the Nightcap out in Tacoma. It's a really good meeting. You should check it out if you're interested in that kind of thing. But I got to meet this lovely woman, um, and this is just like kind of how God works. I mean, my brother had his speaker and his backup speaker bone out on him for speaking at his meeting last night. So my brother calls me up. I agree to go. After the meeting, a kid needs a ride to Nightcap. So I hadn't decided that I was going to go to Nightcap, but I went. So I gave him a ride, and then if I hadn't given him a ride, I would have never met this woman. But this woman was fed up with people because even though we're in this program to be better people and to learn to be better people, right? Like there's still garbage people out there, people. Just because people are coming to meetings and doing recovery right doesn't mean they actually have recovery. They might be just a dry drunk that's sitting in a meeting that likes to identify as an alcoholic because it keeps them from drinking more. But there's a difference between not drinking and being sober. All right, now if you want to not drink, that's cool. The only thing you got to do realistically is go to meetings and don't drink in between, right? It's pretty simple. It's really simple. But if you want to get sober, what that's about being a better person, all right? That's about living by spiritual principles. It's about not being, I don't want to use the word because I'm working on my language, but you know what I mean, all right? So this woman was fed up with these kind of people. The kind of people that aren't really working on their sobriety. They're just staying sober. They're just dry drunks. All right. And she's dealing with these kind of people at different meetings. And she's ready to just say, F it. Forget about it. I'm done with these programs. I'm done with these people. And me and this woman got to speak for 20 minutes or so before the meeting started. And I was supposed to be there, right? Um, I don't know exactly what it is that I said, but there was some things that we talked about. I gave her a little portion of my story, things that trauma that had happened to me as a kid, and then I kind of gave her some of my outlook on things, right? And like personally, I know that self will run riot, and that's what 90% of my problems have been in life is me causing issues. 90% of my problems, right? And I had an epiphany in a meeting, and that was the other 10%, right? I get to take away 90% of the judgment and 90% of the blame that I placed on God because I accept that 90% of my problems with self will run riot. I still left another 10%, right? Like the things that happened to me when I was a child, things outside of my control. Now, those things, I had judgment. I had a resentment towards God, because how could you be an all loving God and allow these things to happen to people, right? But I had this epiphany in group one day when we were talking about self will run riot. And the fact is, I'm not the only self on the planet. You know, you might be sick too. And your self will running riot could cause me havoc, right? Now, it only causes me havoc to the extent that I allow it now. But when I'm a kid, when I'm just this little kid, right? My uncle's self will, that was ran riot, and he was a sick individual. So, you know, I experienced traumas that are because of that, right? And I have done the work through therapy and through self-help programs, having a sponsor and doing the step work. I've been able to forgive him, and I've even been able to make amends where I wronged him, you know, because we all make mistakes. We're all sick people. We all have this spiritual malady, and we're just trying to fill a hole right here, right? With this liquor or these drugs, right? And that hole that we're trying to fill can only be filled with the spirit. It can't be filled with those spirits of drugs, with those spirits of alcohol. It can't be filled with those things. It can only be filled with the spirit of light. And when I was able to realize that 100% of the world's problems aren't God doing that to us, but each other, right? It allowed me to actually have a relationship with my creator. It allowed me to not hold on to resentments that I unjustifiably put on him. And in sharing this with this woman, she really didn't like it. I'm gonna be honest. She told me she wanted to punch me in the face. I smiled. I told her I love her and thank you. Because I do. The only thing I want is for people to get better, you know? So with that being said, um when I get called on, right, there's what we call the responsibility statement. I am responsible when anyone anywhere reaches out for help. I want the hand of AA to always be there. And for that, I am responsible. Which means that when my brother calls me and he's like, hey, I need a speaker, well, I agreed to do anything it would take for me to get sober. Anything. And that means being responsible. So I show up. And when I show up, miraculous things happen, not just for me, for other people. And it's beautiful to be able to be a part of someone's recovery like that. You know, um, if you're struggling with drugs and alcohol, there is a solution. And there's many different ways. AA does not have, the monopoly on sobriety. But if you've tried a bunch of other shit and it don't work, give it a try. I mean, it's working out great for me. Um, there is this anonymity. I don't know, exactly how far or whatever. I am not speaking for AA. I am only speaking for me. This is what's worked for me. Okay, I am not AA. I attend AA, and it's a program that works for me. There's a lot of people that it doesn't work for, and that's them. But it does say in our literature, rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. Those who do not recover are people who cannot. Oh man, see, I'm messing it up. Um, cannot be, are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. There are such unfortunates. We call them liars. But hey, when you're lying to yourself about what you're doing, it's really easy to lie to everybody else. It's not your fault. Denial is a real thing, and it's a safety mechanism in the brain that's allowed you to survive up to this point. But I'm telling you now, you don't have to survive anymore. You can live. You can live. It's a beautiful thing to be sober and live. Be present for this life that we have. We're blessed to be here. And if you don't feel that, then maybe you're doing the wrong things. Maybe you need to start doing something that makes you a bit more responsible, able to respond to life. Because the more I show up, the more I take accountability, the more I'm able to respond to life rather than react to life the way that I used to. When I would react to life, things would just happen. It wasn't my fault. That ain't true. That ain't true at all. If you got problems in your life, I'll bet you're a big part of the problem. And you can fix it. If you're having trouble getting sober or staying sober, you can contact me. I'd be happy to work with you. And maybe we just don't jive. Maybe you're looking for recovery, but we don't jive. That's cool. I can help point you in the right direction to someone that does. But you deserve to be sober just like all of us. Sober is the new cool, right? Man, that stuff is sober. That sounds way better than that stuff so dope. Anyways, love y'all. Have a good night. Peace.